Police will turn lorries away from Kent unless they have a passport to enter when Britain leaves the EU in January, Michel Gove has confirmed. The Cabinet Office Minister said policing and number plate cameras will be used to enforce the Kent access permit, which creates an internal border in a bid to prevent queues tailing back from the port of Duchy. It comes after Mr Gove warned queues of up to 7,000 trucks were possible when the Brexit transition period comes to an end if hauliers fail to prepare for customs changes. The Cabinet Office Minister, who is responsible for no-deal planning, wrote to logistics groups with the government's reasonable worst-case scenario planning, which warns of possible 2-day delays for cargo travelling to France in January. But it's understood the Kent passport will be enforced, whether there's a Brexit deal or not. The European Union's chief negotiator Michel Barnier will today to travel to London for further informal talks with his counterpart Lord Frost as efforts continue to strike a post-Brexit trade deal. Asked about the prospect of tailbacks through Kent by local MP Damian Green, Mr Gove said, "What we want to do is avoid the level of congestion that this reasonable worst-case scenario sets out." He added that, if truckers don't have the right paperwork, it will be the case that through policing, ANPR cameras and other means, we'll do our very best to ensure his constituents are not inconvenienced. Gove said just 1 in 4 businesses believe they are fully ready for the post-Brexit arrangements. He told MPs more businesses are becoming fully prepared, but there are still many who have not quite taken the steps they need to, telling the Commons. Our survey evidence indicates, while 78% of businesses have taken steps, just 24% believe they are fully ready. Indeed, 43% of businesses actually believe the transition period will be extended, even though the deadline for any extension has now long passed, and the date we leave the single market and customs union is fixed in law and supported across this House. Mr Gove said a cabinet committee charged with making preparations for the end of the Brexit transition meets almost daily and has met a total of 136 times so far. He added, "We also need businesses to prepare. The consequences of a lack of business preparedness will be not just economic opportunities missed for those companies that don't prepare, but potentially much wider disruption." Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster Reeves said people must assume that these worst-case scenarios over the post-Brexit situation will play out quite soon. She said, "The news today that there could soon be tailbacks of 7,000 lorries is quite extraordinary. I know the government has said that they are committed to building new infrastructure, but I didn't realise it meant concreting over the Garden of England. Today's warnings are based on a reasonable worst-case scenario, but given we have a reasonable worst-case government, we have to assume that these scenarios will play out quite soon." Brexit News and Brexit Explained. Ms Reeves added, "Why aren't the essential prerequisites for a smooth transition not already here? It is all well and good to tell businesses to act now, but without the systems in place, frankly, it is like telling me to bake a cake, but forgetting to turn the oven on." A government spokesperson said, "We are prioritising the smooth movement of outbound HGVs over 7.5 tons through Kent to prevent unnecessary queues at the border. HGV drivers, or those acting on their behalf, will be able to follow a simple process to get a Kent access permit using the newly developed Smart Freight web service." We have been engaging with industry on this for some time, and we will set out more detail on this shortly.